right now.
Good morning, I'm Nate Foy alongside Amanda Skripchek. NBC2 is bringing you team coverage all morning long, including how these temperatures that you can probably feel as soon as you step outside. It's pretty chilly out there. It's actually helping the fruits and vegetables that you'll see at the grocery store.
NBC2 reporter Edna Ruiz has a live report on that coming up. But first, let's see how this cold front is impacting you with NBC2 First Alert meteorologist Rob Duns. And Rob, it's kind of chilly out there. I had to add extra blanket to my bed last night, I should say.
It's one of those rare days where it's a little bit cool when you step outdoors this morning, but we are going to make up for the chilly temperatures here for Southwest Florida with lots and lots of sunshine. This is a live look right now from the top of the Diamond Head Resort on Fort Myers Beach, Estero Island, looking toward the north, and there's nothing but sunshine out though. Temperatures currently in the mid-50s right now in Lehigh Acres and 55 currently in Cape Coral, a chilly 56 here in the city of Fort Myers. Over the next couple of hours, we'll hold on to the sunshine, but look at this. Temperatures will only top out in the middle 60s this afternoon. That's a solid 10 plus degrees below the average for this time of year. When I come back, we'll talk about the downside of this sunny but chilly day when it relates to the wildfire opportunities here in Southwest Florida. And of course, we've always got the 7-day forecast in view, and that includes the upcoming weekend forecast.
Rob, thank you. Florida's new governor, Ron DeSantis, already addressing Southwest Florida's water crisis on his second day as governor.
NBC2's Shannon Clow is joining us live after sitting in on his press conference in Bonita Springs. Shannon, what's his plan?
In the last hour, he just signed a new executive order that will help combat this water crisis. But before he signed that order, he took to the water, taking a boat tour, talking about all the blue-green algae we've seen, the red tide we've seen. I'm sure I don't even have to describe because many of us have experienced ourselves. He described how serious he is about this and how this new executive order will really tackle this problem, not in the future, but right now. In this order, it's included $2.5 billion for water resources over the next years. Also included a blue-green algae task force. He says this way we can tackle the problem hands-on. He's also working with Washington, working with President Trump himself to make sure this all happens right now.
Like to see no discharges. We're working with both the White House and, as difficult as it is sometimes, working with the Army Corps to try to mitigate that in the near term, which I think is very, very important. So all in all, I think what we've done is really, really strong.
To Sarasota. There he will also address his new policy. Next, he's headed to Stewart later on this afternoon. He says at both places he will be talking about new announcements that we should keep our ears out for. Of course, we will keep you updated with those new announcements right here on air, also on our NBC2 News app. So be sure to download that throughout the day. We will be bringing you new announcements. I'm live in Bonita Springs. Shannon Clow, NBC2.
Shannon, thank you. Obviously, water quality a huge issue in Southwest Florida. So here is a brand new satellite image off of the coast. It is hard to tell, but that is a large algal bloom. If you take a closer look here at last week's, there's certainly a difference. You can notice the difference between the two, a little bit more of that algal bloom closer to the coast. Experts say that the bloom really never left, but it is so far off the coast, you can't tell when you're on the beach. And scientists say it is all up to the wind.
Florida red tide is really patchy. So right now we have those patches, and if that wind direction is offshore, you're not going to experience those effects.
FWC released a new red tide report yesterday. It showed no red tide in Southwest Florida. The algal bloom, however, is creeping back into Sarasota County.
We were very worried that it was an active shooting situation, that somebody was, even walking around just shooting people randomly.
More breaking news this morning. Bullets flying into a home in Bonita Springs. NBC2 has been on scene all morning pushing for answers.
Yeah, deputies swarmed the home on Londonderry Lane just off of Morton Avenue at about 2 this morning. NBC2's Ashley Dyer joins us live from outside the home where she's speaking with neighbors. And Ashley, what have you learned so far?
Well, Amanda and Nate, deputies saying no one was injured this morning. The scene clearing up here just about 15 minutes ago. And we talked to a man who says 2 of his neighbors were involved in the dispute. He says they've been having disagreements for quite some time, and overnight it turned violent. A quiet night in Bonita Springs.
It really sounded like pop, pop, pop.
Shattered by the sound of gunfire. Neighbors tell us they heard at least 10 shots fired. Meriwether Berry says her son was getting a drink of water when he saw a neighbor running across the lawn with a gun.
He heard noises, so he looked out the window and he saw the neighbor who has long hairs, what he described to me, running to the other neighbor's house with a gun, and he saw him shooting through the window 4 times.
She says the dispute between her neighbors carried on even after deputies arrived.
It was a policeman of some sort behind the car, crouched with a gun, waiting on the other neighbor to come outside.
Across the street, other neighbors had a similar view.
I saw quite a few police officers surrounding the area, and I saw them with their guns drawn, and I saw the situation escalate a little bit, but they did a good job.
Deputies tell us shots were fired into a neighbor's home and vehicle. A couple living next door hoping this will be the one and only dispute that they'll have to witness.
I'm good friends with both of them, and they've had some issues for the past couple of months. Like I said, hoping for the best for both of them.
LCSO on scene for hours today, combing through evidence. They tell us they do have someone in custody. I'm live in Bonita Springs. Ashley Dyer, NBC2.
Well, breaking news at 11, the U.S. Coast Guard has ended a search for a missing boater in Venice. Todd Battaglino went missing Monday afternoon. He left Royal Marina in Englewood and was headed out to Stump Pass to fish. Multiple agencies found his boat near Stump Pass Tuesday. However, he was nowhere to be found.
A fire at a Naples pizza shop is now under control. Naples fire crews got the call around 6:50 this morning. They were told the roof was on fire, but when they got there, they realized the flames were coming from the kitchen. This was at Moravella's Pizza, right on Airport Pulling Road. The pizza shop is closed today while fire crews investigate. NBC2 is working to find out how the fire started.
Well, breaking news, Cape Coral police arrest a man for breaking into a Cape Coral home to steal guns. They arrested Trey Estestellanos. Cape Coral police shot him once before in 2016. Officers say he pointed a gun at them. They say this time, the 18-year-old tried breaking into a home on 15th Avenue. The homeowner confronted Estestellanos outside the home with a pistol. Well, Estestellanos took off running when officers arrived. And look at your screen. This is video from near Del Prado Boulevard and Cornwallis Parkway. Officers with their rifles drawn tracked him down to this spot. He's facing multiple felony charges and is at the Lee County Jail. In our noon hour, we'll show you surveillance video that led up to this intense situation. NBC2 is working to confirm an unknown substance leaking from a truck onto Immokalee Road this morning. Deputies in North Collier fire crews responded to the area near Valewood Drive, just east of I-75 after 6. Deputies warning, though, that the road may be slippery from the substance. However, no lanes are being blocked right now and traffic is moving freely.
Thursday, I'm Stacey Deffinball here in the Alert Center monitoring live feeds. I keep track of 16 live feeds all over the country from the Alert Center for you every day, and one just popping up here, SAT3. Matt's our director. Matt, pull that up for everybody at home to see. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. That's the wrong one. SAT2. I called the wrong one. I'm sorry, Matt. SAT3 is what I want. If we can change that, he's going to do that right here. Nancy Pelosi, there we go, the House Speaker right now. Speaking from the Capitol, giving her weekly address, she's talking a lot about the government shutdown and the impacts that she says it's having on Americans and some of the hardships that she says she's hearing from her constituents, taking a lot of swipes at the president, calling him unpresidential. So I'll continue to listen in and pass along any comments from the weekly address by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Speaker Pelosi does that. President Trump is set to arrive at the southern border in Texas today, now on day 20 of the partial government shutdown.
Yeah, today, the president will meet with many of the workers impacted by this shutdown, and this comes just one day after he stormed out of a meeting with congressional leaders, calling it a waste of time.
President Trump is taking his case for a border wall to McAllen, Texas, visiting the U.S.-Mexico border city as negotiations between the White House and Democrats to reopen the government remain stalled over the president's demand for funding, as well as a day after President Trump walked out of a meeting with Democrats.
He asked Speaker Pelosi, will you agree to my wall? She said no. And he just got up and said, then we have nothing to discuss, and he just walked out.
President Trump later tweeting that the discussions were a total waste of time. Vice President Pence defending the president's tactics.
But what the president made clear today is he is going to stand firm to achieve his priorities, to build a wall.
While Republicans on Capitol Hill seem to be getting anxious.
How can we resolve this? We owe it to the American people. This is like a circus.
I want to try to figure out a way that we're able to reopen quickly.
Meanwhile, 800,000 federal employees remain without a paycheck.
He thinks maybe they could just ask their father for more money, but they can't.
And when the shutdown ends, workers may get back pay, but for workers facing eviction and overdue bills now, that may be too late. Well, and here are 4 ways you may not have realized the government shutdown is affecting Florida. Number 1, less staffing at the National Weather Service. Some forecasters can work, but without pay. Number 2, domestic violence. Shelters that receive federal funds could run out of money. Number 3, a disruption in academic research. And of course, number 4, trash is going uncollected at many national parks, and it could be especially harmful in places like the Everglades. Animals at the parks could look at overfilled trash cans as a reliable food source. Well, it is not too late to get your flu shot. Straight ahead, the warning from a mom who thought the virus couldn't affect her family.
And it doesn't sound right, but these cooler temperatures are actually helping organic farmers. How the cold front is keeping something away that threatens their industry.
Yeah, you got to find the sweet spot, though. Too cool temperatures and everything kind of goes off the rails. But if it's in the right place, you can really get some good results. But the cold weather is all coming thanks to these northern winds behind yesterday's front. A look at how long this kind of weather is going to stick around coming up in just a few minutes.
My girlfriend likes to say we make our own seasons in Florida, but today that is not the case. You absolutely need to wear a sweatshirt. At least I felt that way.
Got the sweater and I've got the boots on
yeah,
today.
when you stepped outside, you could feel it, Rob.
Yeah, this is one of those rare days where you can actually wear the sweaters and the boots and not be sweating by lunchtime, because temperatures this afternoon will only top out in the 60s here later on today. And with that in mind, it's a chilly start to your late morning. Upper 50s right now in Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. We're only at 57 currently in Port Charlotte at the high school area there in the western side outside of Charlotte County. Now, even though temperatures are chilly for Southwest Florida standards, we are going to make up for it today with lots and lots of sunshine. I wouldn't expect to see any clouds out there today because the atmosphere right now is just so darn dry and the winds are just pouring in here from the north. So through this afternoon, temperatures will only top out in the middle 60s. 66 for the forecast high today in Fort Myers and Cape Coral, 66 for Naples and our inland communities. You'll be warming up here today to a blazing 67 in LaBelle, and 67 is your forecast high temperature in the next couple of hours toward the city of Immokalee. Throughout this afternoon, the wind is not going to be overly strong, but the direction out of the north will keep the humidity nice and low. And since we'll have this persistent north wind all day today, what that will help to do is keep the atmosphere very settled, but also give us a bit of a wind chill factor to contest with all day. So even though technically the air temperatures will be in the 60s for the majority of the day, the feel-like temperature to exposed skin, like your hands or your legs if you're wearing shorts, it'll feel more like it's in the mid and upper 50s for most neighborhoods here throughout this afternoon. So that might catch you off guard because, of course, we don't see temperatures like that very often here in this part of the state. But regardless, enjoy it for the time while we have it here this afternoon. Also on the docket today is a drop in humidity. Low humidity will be a big part of the forecast all day today, thanks to the air mass that's coming here behind the cold front that moved through yesterday. And since the humidity has essentially tanked inside the past 24 hours, there's a much higher fire risk today as opposed to, say, yesterday. And most especially this afternoon, when relative humidity values will be less than 35%, which in southern Florida is considered to be a so-called critical fire level when wildfires are most likely to pop up. All right, so through the day today, keep in mind sunny skies, chilly temperatures, and a high risk of wildfires. Through the day tomorrow, though, we'll start off very chilly, once again back in the mid-40s, but rebound into the low 70s in the afternoon. And just in time for the weekend, the weather will return to a warmer stretch with highs ranging from the upper 70s to around 80 on Saturday and Sunday. Both days, though, feature rain chances well less than 30%. Back to you.
Don't worry about being overreactive. Because, I mean, you're talking about life and death.
Flu season is about to peak in many places across the country. For one mom in Washington, though, this yearly occurrence is a constant reminder. The virus killing her 5-year-old 4 years ago. Now that mom is warning other parents about what they can do to prevent losing a child. Tadevik Aprikyan has her story.
January comes and it's like, the peak of the season's coming.
This time of year is about looking back for mom Rebecca Hendricks.
She was a singer and a dancer and a little diva.
Pictures of her 5-year-old daughter Scarlett are displayed all over the house.
I was kind of hearing a little bit about flu on the news and stuff, and I didn't really pay attention to it.
4 years ago, Hendricks got a call to come pick up Scarlett from school.
She had a pretty high fever. It was 103. Brought her home and gave her some Tylenol and stuck her on the couch, you know, with some tea and put a movie on.
The next day, they went about errands like normal.
It's amazing how strong kids can be or present themselves to be.
Scarlett's fever seemed to taper with more medicine, but after a nap on the couch,
she fell asleep like really fast and she started making this really strange breathing noise. She just kind of opened her eyes, but she looked past me, like through me. And I was terrified, and I just said, whoa, I have to take you to the hospital.
Within hours of arriving at the hospital,
when I walked in there, you know, I thought that I was going to walk out with some medicine. I had no idea that I was going to walk home without her. She, in fact, died from respiratory failure caused by the H3N2 flu.
Flu activity in Washington state has already started to peak, and doctors say they're seeing an increase in patients presenting with symptoms.
Dr. John Lynch says about 1 in 3 people get the flu vaccine, and it's not too late to get your flu shot done before the peak of season.
So yeah, make sure that you get the shot, but your chances of getting the flu are going down in Southwest Florida. Take a look at these latest numbers from Lee Health. You can actually see a drop in the cases. You see it right there, a big spike down. There were 257 new cases last week. Compare that to the week before. There were 317, way up here. So Lee and Charlotte County school districts also saying there are no reported flu concerns at the schools right now. Of course, this is very good news.
From your Collier County News team, a woman and her underage accomplice are busted this morning after being accused of using a baby stroller to steal clothes at Macy's in Naples. Naples police say Monica Askew and Sania Nerval took a child along for their crime spree, and they started just snagging clothes in the women's activewear section. Deputies say the women used a removal device to get rid of the anti-theft tags. The pair grabbed 21 different items, stuffed them into the stroller, and then rushed out to their car.
To stuff that much stuff inside of the stroller and just like think that they could walk out just like it was normal and like not think that they would be chased is just like dumb.
More than $2,000 worth of items were stolen. A Macy's employee caught the women in the act and chased them to their car. She was able to keep them there until police arrived. Askew was taken to the Naples Jail Center, Nerval to the Department of Juvenile Justice. The child was handed over to Nerval's stepmom. We have Florida Weekly editor Eric Raditz, and we're talking all things Florida Weekly straight ahead. But first, a Cape Coral home busted and raided for drugs. Stick with NBC2. We have the newest confirmed information.
You guys look fantastic.
Thank you.
Good. Very woolly.
You got the nice suit for it.
I feel like it's the one day of the year. Eric, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4.
$11:24, time for one of our favorite segments of the week, Florida Weekly, and we have the presentation editor, Eric Raditz, here to tell you all about the newest edition.
Got the nice wool suit to go for the cooler temperatures here in Southwest
I
Florida.
only have a couple of weeks to actually wear it, so here it is.
Looking good.
Well, you as well.
Is that a wool tie you got?
I think it's a wool tie too.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm pretty sure. I'll check here. Yeah.
Dressed appropriately for the weather. Everyone is all ready for the weather. One thing, though, that maybe people are maybe not ready for is if they're looking to buy their first home.
Yes.
So you guys have a whole guide that tells them what to do.
Yeah, and so we get down to the very bottom of it. And so if you're looking to buy your first home, you might be thinking about a lot of things. Where can you get the money from? Where do you get a lender? Which home do you like to buy? We sit down and find all the basics of it. How much do you need down? What are the interest rate? What lenders are offering programs that might help you get in that home you're looking at? You'd be surprised at the wealth of information we have in this issue this week. I think we answer all of the possible questions you could possibly think of while including national, state, and county programs that are available to help with down payments. We have it all in this week's Florida Weekly. If you're looking to get a home your first time, we have the key to getting it done right.
And to get a home, of course, you first need money.
Yeah.
And to make money, some people make businesses, but one local business is actually doing some good while they're also making some money.
Yes, and if you're one of the entrepreneurs or business leaders, something that you always do think of is giving back to the community. This week we talked to experts, including community foundations, who offer ways not just to contribute to the community, but also to give back to your employees of yours, offering them continuing education, allowances for childcare, wellness environments that encourage exercise, and flexible schedules, to name just a few. If you're an entrepreneur or a business leader and looking to give back, we give you a few extra good ideas on how to do that this time.
All right, and of course in your arts and entertainment, you have a discussion being led by a journalist, a correspondent for the Washington Post, coming to Fort Myers.
Coming to Fort Myers. So we sat down with author and Washington Post journalist Neely Tucker, who's coming to Sidney Byrne Davis Arts Center in Fort Myers for a lecture series, lunch, and workshop next week. We found out some very interesting facts about his love of journalism, how it started, including some very interesting anecdotes. For example, when he was young, he wrote to one of his favorite authors, Stephen King, who actually wrote him back, and he kept the letter, by the way. So if you want to enjoy a very interesting time, be sure to come out and go to that series next week.
Yeah, little experiences like that can definitely go a long way. He also worked for the Miami Herald at one point. Okay, a lot of people I know are very excited about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons coming to Fort Myers.
Well, that is a big one. And you know what, in town, sometimes think that some of the stars just love to come to Southwest Florida because we have so many options in this week's top picks.
And the weather,
You're not sure what to do, and the weather too. In addition to Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, we also have, I'm not kidding, the Righteous Brothers and Air Supply and Cher.
Cher is coming to Southwest Florida?
To the Hertz Arena. The Whalers. There's also a Taps and Tunes craft beer downtown Fort Myers. And there's always fun at the Barrel Room for some fun, fresh jazz on Thursday nights. Check us out for lots to do. If you're not sure what to do, we have plenty of options. So there's no excuse. You can't just stay home. Bring a friend, go out by yourself, make new friends. Just get off the couch, pick up Florida Weekly, go have some fun.
Looks like we got some bands that are perfect for playing at weddings, so.
Oh, you got a wedding
coming up. I got a wedding coming up. Maybe I'll have to go check out the Righteous Brothers or Frankie Valli and see if they'll play for my wedding.
Oh, I'll help ask them for you. That would be fantastic.
Even if you don't have a wedding, Florida Weekly is always a great read. And Eric Raditz, thank you very much for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Nate. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank
See you next week.
All right, coming up on NBC2, a Florida judge saying Senator Rick Scott violated constitutional rights. How a former election supervisor is at the center of the case.
Plus, it's not something you'd expect to see at a restaurant. Why some customers got more than a Happy Meal at a McDonald's.
Live, the news you count on. NBC2 News at 11.
Good morning and thank you for watching NBC2 News Today. I'm Nate, she's Amanda, and you can definitely tell how cold it is when you step outside this morning.
Wearing sweaters and boots, we love it. And coming up, NBC2 reporter Edna Ruiz is going to even show us how the cold weather is impacting crops. But first, NBC2 First Alert meteorologist Rob Duns, he is tracking just how long this cold front will last. Rob, when can we put away the boots?
Well, the actual cold front is already out of here. What we're dealing with now is the impacts behind the actual front, which is a much different atmosphere, a much different air mass than we had this time yesterday. So what's happening right now is that the air is basically just really dry outside. So live Doppler radar has no radar echoes for us to detect over all of Lee County, and obviously that's the case for all neighborhoods in Southwest Florida. When you consider not only that the temperatures have dropped, but the humidity has gone down in a big way inside the past 24 hours, and we now have a fairly staunch breeze out of the north. What is happening today is that the wildfire risk, unfortunately, has really spiked inside the past 24 hours. In fact, the latest Fire Danger Index map from the Florida Forest Service now posts Collier and Glades County under the so-called extreme fire danger index level, with Lee and Hendry County under the very high fire danger index level. What this means is that you really have to be paying attention to what you're doing. Don't park your car on a grassy field. Be careful with the ATVs, tie up the chains, do what you can to mitigate your potential wildfire risk in your neighborhood. When I come back, though, we'll talk about the cool temperatures and how long this kind of business is stick around. That's all coming up in just a few minutes.
So as Rob mentioned, the chance for a brush fire is very high today, and you need to keep in mind that heavy winds make it even more dangerous for the fire to spread. So that's why the danger index is higher today. And you see this colorful map. It shows just how bad things are getting in Charlotte County, listed as a high level of threat right now, very high in Lee County. Collier County is extremely high. Now, while we're talking about Collier County, many are waiting for the county to roll out a new app that will alert people of fire danger. It was supposed to debut this month. NBC2 is working to confirm exactly when it will be available.
For the most part, this weather is perfect for the growth of our vegetables and fruit.
And the cooler weather in Southwest Florida is bringing a sigh of relief to some farmers. Some say the weather is actually perfect for crops this time of year. NBC2's Edna Ruiz explains why.
Cooler weather is giving St. Clair Martins and his organic crops a break.
The warmer it is, the more pests are around, the tougher it is to prevent them from eating the crop.
Since organic farms like Martin's Food Technology don't use pesticides, there's not much they can do.
Once we have pests that established in the field, we cannot battle the pests. We have to kill the plants to start over.
Often the fruits and veggies have tiny marks on them, which isn't harmful. But the USDA doesn't consider them grade 1.
When anything that isn't absolutely perfect looking, so if you browse your larger retailers, all you'll see at any shelf is perfection.
That's where Melissa Basley comes in to help. She started Crazy Crops, a business aimed not to waste the ugly produce.
If a pepper is not perfectly round, obviously doesn't have any markings such as these guys here do, this automatically becomes what is considered an ugly vegetable.
Since the weather has been warmer, Martin's had to toss out a lot of produce when it has the slightest imperfection. Some of that due to the heat.
That is very difficult in organic.
Between Basley helping out and temperatures dropping, Martin's is hopeful.
Sometimes we win the battle, but it's a very tough battle.
In Collier County, Edna Ruiz, NBC2.
Edna, thank you. And if you're in Lee County, you might experience some smoke today. Wind can help fuel a mulch fire at MW Horticulture for the 4th day in a row. Just yesterday, the recycling center in North Fort Myers failed another code inspection.
When the wind's just right, as it is like right now, you can't even spend time out in your yard, out on your porch.
The owner of MW Horticulture tells NBC2 crews crews are working around the clock. They're trying to smother the debris pile with dirt to prevent any fire or any hot spots from popping up.
11:34. Hello from the Alert Center. Some brand new information just coming in. I want to pass along a new tweet coming from the Vice President. Matt, let's pull it up here. Coming in the last 14 minutes, the Vice President tweeting out just arrived at the Capitol to talk with members of Congress about the humanitarian and security crisis at our southern borders. The President made it clear he will stand firm to achieve the priorities of the American people, to build a wall and add personnel resources and reforms to stem the crisis. Again, a brand new tweet coming from the Vice President.
Stacey, thank you very much. A Florida judge ruling that Senator Rick Scott overstepped while suspending Broward County elections supervisor. Dan Croft explains where things stand right now.
The board has been asked to consider this ballot.
The two judges who made up the Broward Canvassing Board had a front row seat to the entire vote count and recount process. We haven't heard from them until now. In this report to the state, they claim former election supervisor Brenda Snipes and her workers were not prepared, that staffing shortages delayed the process and caused them to miss crucial deadlines, and her office made procedural violations.
We uploaded to the state 2 minutes late.
Broward County missed the first recount deadline by 2 minutes. That made national headlines. And the office misplaced more than 2,000 ballots. That we've also reported. But the judges in the report also claim election workers opened 205 provisional ballots and matched the signatures to verify the votes before taking them to the canvassing board. It's a much more critical report than other counties that also had problems. In Palm Beach, where machines overheated and they missed crucial deadlines, the county's report only states that they had a mechanical failure. There's not much detail. And in Hillsborough County, there's no mention of a recount, just that poll workers failed to follow procedures to modem results. Each county choosing to report its own version of events to the state.
Snipes had been the top elections official in Broward County since 2003 when then-Governor Jeb Bush appointed her. She's been elected 3 times, and her current term was not scheduled to end until 2020.
From your Charlotte County News team, an alert homeowner helps deputies arrest 2 men caught creeping around homes. Deputies say a caller heard noise coming from an empty home around North Shore in Melbourne. They then saw 2 men walking around another home. Deputies arrested Stephen Torchia when they got there. However, deputies say Eric Caterino ran from them. K-9 Odin tracked the 28-year-old to a backyard on Melbourne Street. When deputies questioned the men, they did not have an excuse for what they were doing. The 2 are charged with loitering and prowling. Well, breaking at 11:36, Cape Coral police have identified the man arrested by the U.S. Marshals Task Force. We broke this story for you on this newscast yesterday. This happened on Northeast 5th Street. Officers arrested Jameril Dostin. Inside the home, they found multiple drugs, including cocaine, crack cocaine, paraphernalia to manufacture crack cocaine, and marijuana. Officers also found a stolen gun and a lot of cash. The 32-year-old is facing multiple felony drug charges. He's at the Lee County Jail. And we do have some stats this morning for you. In Collier County alone, in the past 5 years, 31 people have been killed from cars. The latest, an SUV hit a man in Immokalee on Tuesday night. Rosario Ramirez was killed while trying to walk across Lake Trafford Road. Troopers say he did not use a crosswalk. That's the same road where a woman was killed in a hit and run. The county installed new traffic signals and pedestrian crossings and signals there nearly a year ago to try and reduce the number of people hit. Officials say if you're walking in the dark, it's best to wear reflective clothing, walk with a flashlight, and look both ways before crossing the street.
This morning, NBC2 confirms with Charlotte County that gas pumps were checked before this year's skimmer ordinance went into effect. All stations were in compliance, and they still plan on checking again soon. So far this year, no skimmers have been found in Charlotte County. That's according to the Florida Department of Agriculture. But in just 8 days, 30 skimmers have been found statewide. Sprouts Farmers Market is opening on Logan Boulevard North in Naples next month, and they're looking to hire more than 140 employees before then. They're holding a job fair today until 5 o'clock. It's at the Holiday Inn in Fort Myers at Airport Town Center. Just bring a copy of your resume. The Naples location will open on February 20th at 7 in the morning.
Well, a new bill could eliminate diaper tax. There's a 6% tax on diapers in the state of Florida right now. However, that new bill could eliminate that tax and put more money in your pocket. 2 Florida senators have filed a bill that would end the diaper tax for babies and adults who need them. Right now, newborn babies go through roughly 2,500 diapers in the first year. A box of 164 diapers costs about $40. We crunched the numbers, and with the tax, it costs nearly $700 a year. Without it, people would save nearly $40.
It would help a lot. Maybe she need for gas, extra food, like I said, bills, extra money for bills.
I go through a lot of them. I order a lot of boxes, supplies, and diapers are very expensive for adults.
This is the 3rd time lawmakers have filed the bill. They say 3rd time's the charm, and they hope to get it passed this session, which starts on March 5th.
Hendry County has a shortage of paramedics right now, and one hospital is really starting to feel the impact. Hendry Regional Medical Center uses the county's EMS services to transport some of its patients. The county doesn't have enough paramedics to work in ambulances. It's trying to reallocate EMTs to cover calls, but those technicians don't have advanced certifications that the paramedics do. Because of that, one of the county's ambulances has been downgraded.
With the travel distances involved in receiving care, we're the sole medical facility, medical hospital in the county. Transportation to emergency services is very critical.
Right now, Hendry County is paying thousands of dollars to certify current EMTs as paramedics and put them through schooling. Well, if you're still trying to find your motivation after the holidays, health experts have a challenge to get you started. On today's Health Matters, Lindsay Morton explains how the Million Mile Movement is getting people up and moving.
While the holidays are over, you may still be enjoying the sweet treats and holiday habits.
Kind of during the holidays, you get out of your routine, you're going out on functions, you're going to events. Million Mile Movement just gets you reset.
From walking to lifting, even dancing, the Million Mile Movement is a 90-day community challenge to get you up and moving.
It's community activity, it's community corroborations. This is just a great opportunity for everyone to work together and anyone to get out and get active.
To participate, check out healthylead.com. After you set up your profile, you can download the app, which allows you to log all of your physical activity, whether it's walking, swimming, or cycling.
Anything that you want to do, just get out and move. The more you move, the more miles we rack up, and the more successful we are overall.
If you need help staying motivated, create a team and do the challenge together.
It's all about being together, moving together. Socializing is really great. I mean, it really helps with your longevity.
The app will also allow you to track your progress and the progress of other teams and individuals participating in the challenge.
The Million Mile Movement Challenge is a community challenge, and it's really designed to unite the community in a healthy lifestyle.
From January 15th to April 15th, the goal is for the community to accomplish 1 million miles altogether. A challenge designed to improve your health and wellness while bringing you one step closer to a healthier lifestyle. For Lee Health, I'm Lindsay Morton.
People over politics. TSA workers still keeping us safe despite not getting paid. How the government shutdown is impacting real lives and why they keep working even without a paycheck.
And sweatshirts and sunglasses, two things you'll need today as temperatures are unseasonably cool, but we've got lots and lots of sunshine outside. A look at how this all relates to the 7-day forecast outlook, all coming up in just a few minutes. Well, the first official so-called cold snap, if you will, and of course I'm saying cold snap because in terms of relative to the rest of the United States, this isn't terribly cold. But for this part of the world, temperatures in the 50s at 11:45 in the morning is pretty chilly. In fact, we've only got numbers right now at 55 in Cape Coral, 54 your current temperature in Lehigh Acres, and we're cooking away at 59 degrees already right now in the city of Naples. But having a lot of fun with this is Sanibel Island tower camera. This is looking toward the Gulf of Mexico. Every once in a while, you'll see someone walking by on the beach, but they're bundled up. You get sweatshirts and sweatpants, that kind of business. So you may not want to wear the bathing suit down there today, but obviously there's plenty of room in place as this kind of weather may scare off a few beachgoers later on this afternoon. But either way, it's looking really nice conditions-wise. Lots and lots of sunshine, unfiltered sunshine through this afternoon, just with unseasonably cool temperatures. 66 is all we're expecting to get to today in Fort Myers and Cape Coral, with numbers topping out closer to 65 in Punta Gorda and toward the city of Naples in southwest Collier County. Something very important to keep in mind today is that there will be very, very low humidity values in the atmosphere this afternoon. And in fact, they're downright dangerously low in some conditions because whenever these numbers in southern Florida go below 35%, that's considered by most to be a so-called critical fire level, which means that wildfires can spark up when you have very low relative humidity values and somewhat breezy conditions. And that's just what we'll have throughout the day today. Notice that winds are forecast out of the north anywhere from about 10 to 15 miles an hour. So when you take into consideration that it really hasn't rained here much at all in the past few weeks, we've got a very, very dry atmosphere today, and there's still a bit of a good wind out there. It's a pretty high risk for some wildfires popping up, so please keep that in mind throughout the rest of the day today. Tonight, though, it's round number 2 of a chilly night with numbers even colder than where we ended up this past morning. 41 tonight is the forecast low for communities like Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda. Down to 45 overnight tonight for Fort Myers and Cape Coral. And even though most neighborhoods in coastal Collier County were able to cling on to the low 50s this morning, by tomorrow morning, most of us will be able to slip back into the upper 40s. So even cooler tonight, thanks to a clear sky and these winds continue to hail from the north. Now through the day on Friday, for tomorrow, of course, we will see more of an eastern wind push. And that's why tomorrow's temperatures will be warmer than where we're ending up today. Remember, today we're only topping out at the mid 60s. Tomorrow we should see numbers closer toward the upper 70s. So a big difference there in just a span of 24 hours when it comes to the temperature outlook. When it comes to the long range outlook, if you've got your sights geared toward the weekend, as we always typically do, we're looking for temperatures back in the upper 70s to around 80. There's a very slight chance of a weak shower pushing through here as another front comes our direction. But this one, just like the last one, doesn't have much in the way of moisture to work with. So I wouldn't expect very much rain out of this weekend front either.
Yeah, that weekend weather looks pretty good. A little cold on Friday night, but other than that, it's really nice.
Yeah, so enjoy.
All right, Rob, we will see you in a little bit. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, despite the government shutdown, TSA workers are still showing up to work to help keep us safe. Those workers don't know when their next paycheck will come. Take a look.
Working without a paycheck while keeping others safe. As we approach 3 full weeks of a partial government shutdown, TSA workers across the country and right here at home are feeling the impacts.
You have men and women here who are dedicated to doing their job the right way, who potentially aren't going to get paid, and the longer this goes on, the harder it becomes.
A spokesperson with Harrisburg International Airport says essential TSA employees, like security screeners, are going on almost 2 weeks working without pay. Unsure of how long it will all last, some are calling off sick, but most are continuing to clock in each day.
They know that by coming in and doing their job and making sure people are safe to travel, that's critically important.
NBC2 reached out to the TSA for comment, and they replied in part, quote, "As the current lapse in funding continues, we want to echo the sentiments of the industry, the traveling public, and TSA leadership, who are both proud of and thankful for the officers across the country who remain focused on the mission."
There's an extra special appreciation today for the safety they've provided.
It's disappointing to see that they even have to be put in a situation where they have to make that decision.
Bottom line is right now we need our elected officials to do their job. Businesses every day compromise on agreements and disagreements because you have to do that to move forward.
And remember,
as you're going through the checkpoint, say thank you. They're there for all of our safety, and it's critically important.
About 420,000 federal employees are currently working without pay. Another 380,000 have been furloughed.
The government shutdown has virtually stopped food safety inspections. The FDA says it is planning to resume some of them But to do that, furloughed workers would have to come back without pay. Companies can still make their own checks, and the agency is still announcing recalls.
Well, for all you salad lovers out there, you can now eat romaine lettuce and you don't have to worry about it. The CDC says that the E. coli outbreak is officially over. No one has been sick since December. All impacted lettuce has been taken off the shelves. The outbreak caused 63 people in the United States to get sick, with 29 more in Canada. Only one case was reported in Florida.
All new at 11, chocolates and caramels sold on QVC and through other retailers are being voluntarily recalled. The FDA says the candy may be contaminated with hepatitis A. The FDA is advising people not to eat any Bowers candies, chocolate, or caramel bought after November 14th of last year. Apparently, a worker in the facility where the candy was made tested positive for hepatitis A.
A warning to our viewers, this is relatively graphic video. Apparently, a man in San Francisco brought a dead raccoon into a McDonald's. You see him just sitting there. The raccoon's on the table. The animal was bruised and bloody. It left a trail of blood on the floor. The restaurant had to close because of this. It's unclear why the man brought that animal inside. Oh.
Well, here's a traffic alert for you. 2 roads in Charlotte County will close starting today. Loveland Boulevard between Midas Court and Old Landfill Road, and Olean Boulevard from Swaney Road to Loveland Boulevard are closed. You can see the areas are highlighted on your screen. They will stay closed until February 15th. Detour signs will be up if you have to travel through the area, but you are encouraged to take a different route if possible. The long wait is over. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is back, and it's on NBC2.
Following every rule. Rosa Diaz, really scary. Charles Boyle.
The popular show spent 5 seasons on Fox before the network dropped it. NBC picked it up just hours after a social media outcry from fans. The show stars former SNL comedian Andy Samberg and Terry Crews.
A South Florida teen keeping something alive in his closet, why his neighbors wouldn't let their children outside, and how it could have been deadly.
Iguanas are invading Marco Island. People who live there say that they've been seeing more popping up in recent weeks. And Marco Island has recently re-enlisted a program that includes hiring an iguana trapper who will come to the city to catch them. The trapper says he's seeing a lot of iguanas throughout Southwest Florida, but especially high numbers on Marco Island. Neighbors say they certainly are a nuisance.
They got my tomato tree, but they get in here and I don't know where it is. And all I ever see is the net result of their visits, so it's kind of a pain in the neck.
All right, iguanas are an invasive species here, and they have no natural predators in Southwest Florida. The only way to get rid of them is to remove them and kill them. The trapper says to be careful around iguanas as well because they can bite and whip you with their tails.
A Florida teen is in trouble after keeping venomous snakes in his closet. Check this out. When FWC looked inside Bailey Hughes' closet in Fort Lauderdale, they saw that 10 venomous snakes. They were all rattlesnakes and copperheads, which are not legal to own as pets. A picture that he posted on social media, that one right there, tipped some to the FWC about the snakes. Neighbors say the snakes made them scared to even let their kids out of the house.
All new, ahead at noon.
Still to come on the news at noon, we are talking all about that cold weather and plants having a preference ahead. Why Southwest Florida farmers say cooler weather can actually be a good thing.
Plus, Florida's new governor making an important announcement in Bonita Springs. How Governor DeSantis plans to help the water crisis in Southwest Florida.
And the showdown continues. Stick around. We're live at the border for the shutdown next at noon.
How long are you willing to let this shutdown last, Mr. President?
Whatever it takes.
President Trump visiting the U.S.-Mexico border today. Where the shutdown stands right now and why some think it will be the longest one ever.
Governor Ron DeSantis makes his way to Southwest Florida. Find out his plan to keep our waterways clean.
Multiple shots fired right into a Bonita Springs home. I'm Ashley Dyer. Next at noon, the latest from deputies after an extensive investigation.
Live, the news you count on. NBC2 News at Noon.
We begin at noon with a live look right now of Pinchers Marina in Fort Myers. It looks nice out there, but we are feeling the effects of this cold front this morning. We saw some places reaching down into the 40s this morning. Right now, we're still in the 50s, not even in the 60s right now at this noon hour, 57 degrees in Fort Myers, and it's not going to warm up all that much as the day goes on. Good morning and thanks for watching. I'm Nate Foy.
And I'm Amanda Skripchak. We are certainly keeping an eye on those temperatures, plus the extreme risk for fires today. So let's go to the man who knows all all about it. First Alert meteorologist Rob Dunn's tracking it all in the First Alert Storm Center. Hey, Rob.
Yeah, so there's a good part and a bad part to the cold front thing came through. Obviously, colder temperatures, some people just love that. Other people don't care for it much at all. But the downside of this weather movement, if you will, is that humidities have essentially tanked inside the past 24 hours, which is why the wildfire risk is so much higher today than it was, for instance, just yesterday. Now, outside right now, most of us have temperatures only in the 50s, 57 currently in the city, 57 in Bonita Springs, but at least we're making up for this terribly cold weather with lots of sunshine. A beautiful view here from the top of the radar tower shows a crystal clear sky here over top of the city of Fort Myers. That is exactly how it will play out.